Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate. Dear brothers and sisters and dear respected audience all over the globe, I greet you with the Islamic greeting. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I still continue talking about the same topic, the same theme, which is our children at schools. Do they take the quality of education that they deserve? We were talking in the previous episodes about the methods of teaching or teaching strategies or teaching techniques, and we gave some examples of teaching Arabic as a foreign language, and then I moved to teaching Arabic as a native language for the Arabs, and I made the difference clear between the two of them, and I gave some examples about reading strategies and speaking strategies. And today I am going to continue, but I will move a little bit to talk about writing strategies in general. I'll give some examples. One example, in one of the classes, I observed a teacher who had a wonderful writing. Her handwriting is amazing. You really love to see it. And I entered the class from the beginning, and I observed the teacher, and she had two boards, not just one board, two boards beside each other. And I started observing her that she continued writing, and she used different pens and markers and colorful ones, and the board was really amazing. And it took her approximately 20 minutes to finish writing on the board. Then she continued doing the whole lesson. Then at the end of the lesson, I asked her, do you do the same thing in every period that you enter? She said yes. And she was so proud of that. I asked her, tell me about really the benefit of spending 20 minutes in writing on the board and using all these beautiful colors that make it attractive for the students. What did the students get from that? She said that at least it becomes an attractive environment for the students when they see something beautiful. I said, that's good, but is the writing of the students in the same quality of your writing? She said, no. I said, did you know that each of these students, 30 students or more, lost 20 minutes from his life by waiting until you finished writing? And she started thinking, did you know the total number of the students is 30, and if you multiply it by the loss of 20 minutes from the life of every student, that means we lost 600 minutes in one period? And not only that, the loss of time. And basically, our life is a group of days, or a group of hours, or a group of minutes and seconds. This is our life. So if every day I lose 20 minutes in waiting for the teacher to finish her beautiful writing on the board, it is something very important. It is something related to time management in the classroom. And it's not only the loss of time, but at the same time, while the teacher was busy writing on the two boards, the students used to have bad behavior among them. So they used to punch each other, to throw papers at each other, because they didn't have anything to keep them busy, because the teacher was writing, and she did not really realize what was happening. She did not, but she got used to this, and she was proud of her handwriting, but she forgot all the other factors which are more important than just beautiful handwriting. I told her, did you ever think of a different way of doing it? There is another teacher in another class that would probably prepare this beautiful thing and would prepare it on a transparency. And I'm quite sure that your handwriting is very good, but you can get the same result or even better results by using the computer. If you write the same text on the computer and then you type it and then you print it on a transparency once, and you can use it in other classes The result is you save 20 minutes from the life of every student every day you teach them. And she waited and reflected upon it, and she said that this is really true. And the first time for me to think of that. I said that, do you know that this transparency, not only we are going to use it in other classes, it can remain with you for years, and the only cost is the cost of transparency. Even it saves your time. You can use your time in achieving something else. She was convinced. So now, we as teachers or we as parents, if you get to ask ourselves, am I doing it right? Or is there a way better than the way that I'm using? The answer is always yes. As long as we are human beings, we are different, each one of us would have a technique or a strategy that would add something to the other one. We learn from each other. I just was with the director of this program, and we were chatting, and he said the same thing, that we are learning from each other. Every day we learn from each other. And this is life. This is the reality. We learn from each other. I learn from him, and he learns from the other assistant, and his assistant learns from the other one. This is real life. And I still remember one of the teacher was a good teacher. And I asked him, how did you become a good teacher? And he told me his methodology of being a teacher. He said that when I started teaching, the other teachers who were in the school, he felt that they were not so qualified. So he did not get, especially the senior teacher or the teacher who is supervising or coordinating his subject matter. He said that based on this, I thought of an idea of taking a tape recorder with me into the classroom. So while I'm teaching, I'm recording for myself. I'm recording what happens in the class. So when I go home, I start playing what I have done in the class. And I start laughing at myself for the mistakes that I have done. And in this way, I started to improve myself. This is called self-evaluation. It's a very simple way that he thought of that, or he created and he invented. And I think it's very beneficial. If you try to use the same technique and try to listen to what you have done in the class and go home and listen to it, you will find definitely something that you can do better. Another way of doing it is that you look for other teachers who are specialized, not necessarily in your class. You can visit other schools when you hear that there are good practices in other schools. You can visit any of these schools and visit the classroom and learn from it. Okay, not only you visit classroom that teach the language, you can benefit from anything. One time I was in one of the schools, and there was a math teacher. He was teaching math, but it was a period for drama. And he took this period and he was teaching some drama to the students. And the goal that he wanted to achieve is he was teaching the students to play the role of the mirror. If you stand in front of a mirror and you start doing things, and the mirror imitates you. So I was teaching the students to do the same thing. For example, I raise this hand and you raise the same hand. By the way, if I raise my right hand, you need to raise your right hand or your left hand. Of course, it's the left hand because you're playing the role of a mirror. So I raise the right hand, you raise the left hand, and so on and so forth. So it was a very interesting class. However, I thought of this. Can I use this same technique in other subjects? And immediately the answer came to me. How about if I use the same method, the same strategy, when I teach the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, al-mu'minu mir'atu akhi. Even if this hadith has some sort of weakness in it, but if I'm teaching this, the believer is a mirror for his brother. In other words, the believer tells his brother about his good things and his bad things. The believer is trying to help his brother to improve. And because we cannot see our own errors and mistakes, we need a mirror, we need a brother, we need a sister to inform us about our errors and our mistakes. And this was the goal. Now, it becomes very fruitful if I use this technique and apply it in my subject matter. It is a technique that's used in drama, but still I can use it. Let's take a break and come back. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope you enjoyed your break. And now we'll continue the same topic. We were talking about al-mu'minu mir'atu akhi and how you can use this technique, simple technique that the math teacher was using in teaching drama and teaching anything else. So now I give you the example of how to use it in teaching the hadith, for example. The beauty of these techniques is that when you use this technique, definitely it will have great impact on the brain of the students, and it will remain for long times in their memories because it's so effective. This is what we mean by effective ways of teaching, by effective teaching. This is very effective because I still recall one of my teachers who was teaching me poetry, and this was probably 25 years ago. I'm not going to say more than this, so you can do the math and know my age. But anyway, almost 25 years ago, he was teaching us a poem, and he came in front of us and he wrote some lines on the board, and he asked us to write these lines. And while we were busy writing or copying what he wrote on the board, he went to the end of the classroom, and then all of a sudden, while we were so busy and indulged in writing, then he hit a table and it made a very strong voice. And all of us were shocked and were surprised when he did that. And he said, "A sudden blow." And this was the name of the poem that we studied. And I think it was a very good technique to attract the attention to the degree that I still, and I'm quite sure that the other students still remember this, what happened in this classroom, although it was very old ago. So the teacher succeeded to make an impact on us. And I still remember the name of the poem, although I haven't read it again, but the impact has been done to us. This is really what we need from the teachers when they think of creative strategies to have impact on the students, to help them remember the piece of knowledge or to remember the skill that they were doing in life. I hope this is a good example that you can benefit from and you apply it in your life. Another thing that I'd like to refer you to is, I'll go back to, again, teaching Arabic as a foreign language. I'll move between these two so you would have an idea between the difference. In many classes, you would find that the teacher who teach Arabic as a second language, because they know English, they would try, and the students know English, they use intensive English in the classroom. And when you try to count, although they teach Arabic, they teach Arabic via English. So all the time the teacher is using English, and the students are communicating with her in English. And the goal of the whole lesson is teaching Arabic. And the end result, after whole period, 40 minutes or so, the end result is that the students were able to write 1 or 2 letters in Arabic, but they practiced English instead. Even, I still remember that she was teaching the difference between letter ha and letter kha, and the difference between them is, as you know, that is the dot on the... And she was even describing the letter in English. And she would ask the students, and the students would respond in English. And at the end of the class, I asked her, were you teaching Arabic or were you teaching English? She looked at me and then she said, I was teaching Arabic. I said, but in reality, we're not teaching Arabic. You just taught only 1 letter or 2 letters. But you were teaching English. You were communicating with the students in English. A lot of teachers think that because they know English, it affects them. They cannot control themselves. I told her that if you speak with them purely in Arabic, as the English teacher does, she never speaks Arabic. She does not know a single word in Arabic, and she continues teaching the whole period, and she never uses an Arabic word, although the students are Arabs. She said that this is right. Sometimes we as teachers really think that the students do not have the capacity to understand. They will do. It's very simple when you tell students, okay, اذهب إلى المكتبة, and you give him the picture, for example. You have a picture of the library, for example. اذهب إلى المكتبة, اذهب إلى الحمام, اذهب إلى غرفة المعلمين, اذهب إلى so on. Very simple to say it, and because you repeat it every day, especially the instructions. The instructions that we give the students, definitely we repeat them on daily basis. So if we say them the first day, the second day, the third day, the students will be able to understand them because they relate to real things in life. So this is a practice that I hope, and I'm quite sure that the teachers will get rid of. Don't use another language to teach Arabic as a foreign language. At the same time, I'd like to say that I've seen in many countries some practices that in kindergarten the students learn English in grade 1 and they start learning Arabic in grade 2. And I think this strengthens the learning of English at the expense of their native language, which is Arabic. And I think if we begin with Arabic in the first year, then English comes in the second year, this will give the students an extra year to practice their native languages. I'm quite sure this may ring a bell in the minds of the people who are responsible for the curriculum and the people who are responsible for the school, because if you try to compensate for this after that time, and you will discover that the language is so important, after that it becomes too expensive to teach the language to your child when he or she grows up. I hope we think of that. The principal, the curriculum coordinator, the teacher, everybody should rethink of this matter because it is of vital importance. And again, remember when the Prophet ﷺ said, كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. The parent himself is responsible for this because he or she are the ones who selected the school that teaches their kids English, yes, in the first year, then Arabic in the second year. And remember that the only access for the students to access the Quran is the Arabic language. So they need to perfect this language so that when they listen to the Quran, when they recite the Quran, when they read the Quran, they grasp the meaning that would have impact on their lives. It is absolutely important that the first priority should be given to Arabic because it's the language of the Quran. If it is taught effectively, it will help everybody to understand the content of the Quran, the word of Allah, and the book that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask us about. And as you know that the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that says, read and you will be elevated. Read from and recite from the Quran and you will be elevated. And at the end of the verse that you recite, this will be your place in paradise. It's something more important than communicating in life, more important than this world, something more important, which is paradise. So I think the parents need to give a thought about their decision. Did they take the right decision? Or were they the ones who pushed their child to learn another language at the expense of their first language, which is Arabic? I'm quite sure that the parents, the principal, the curriculum head or the curriculum coordinator, the teacher of the subject matter, all of them should think and rethink of this issue in order to put things in perspective and in the right place. This example is so vital because it serves two purposes. It serves Arabic, it's the language, the native language of the students, and it serves the purpose of the understanding the Quran. without having good command of the language, it becomes difficult for us to understand the Quran. And remember this golden rule that children at young age has the capacity to learn 1, 2, 3, 4 languages simultaneously at the same time. And we have many cases, many examples of families that a father speaks a language, a mother speaks a language, and perhaps a grandmother speaks a different language, and the students at school learn a third or a fourth language, and the maid at home speaks a different language, and you would find that children have the ability to learn all these languages at the same time. Why? Because they learn it or they acquire it directly through practice. So again, I want the teachers to reconsider this and to have the trust in the capacities and the abilities of their students that they will learn the other language without having to translate word by word. Because in some practices, we've seen in many classes, the teacher would write a word, would write a translation, and all the time they say that the students learn more. And we discovered that students, after learning Arabic, for example, for 12 years, at the end of 12 years, when we start to initiate a conversation with them, they don't communicate in Arabic. We found some strange examples in our lifetime. We speak with them in Arabic and they respond to us with English. But this is not the case of learning another language as a foreign language. I think it's something very important for us, all of us, to go back and consider, are we doing the right thing? Or should we make changes in the policies and in the practices and in the teaching strategies in classrooms to give Arabic its vital importance in our life? I hope you benefited from these simplest strategies. But again, I give you the opportunity to call me or to email me, which is a good way to contact me, is by the email Mamdouh, MAMDOUH 2000 @hotmail.com. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Mamdouh Nuruddin Mohamed.
Oh, people of the world.